promised that if any were to live through it, they would tell their story of the human depravity that was the Nazi-engineered Holocaust of 6 million Jews. Mr. Blatt is here to keep that promise. He is the author of 2 books, Sobibor, The Forgotten Revolt, and Rising from the Ashes of Sobibor, an advisor to the movie that deals with his escape and the others that were with him, and done in 1987, entitled Escape from Sobibor. After the war, Mr. Blatt immigrated to Israel, met his wife Dina in a kibbutz in northern Israel. They later came to America and had 2 children. Mr. Blatt has just returned from speaking in Poland. He speaks all over the world, in Germany and other countries. It's a distinct honor to have him with us tonight. After his presentation, there will be a brief film, and then we'll have a question and answer period. It is a distinct pleasure an opportunity rare enough to think back that you participated in this evening, to hear a Holocaust survivor. Please welcome Toivi Blatt.
Thank you very much. Thank you. As you did notice, I have a heavy Polish accent. Can't help it. I will speak slowly. If you don't understand a word or a sentence, please ask me later and I will gladly explain. I'm here also because a promise I made minutes before we were revolting in this camp and escaped. The leader, Alexander, the leader of the revolt, Alexander Aronovich Peczorski, I remember, jumped on a table and in a short speech, he said, if by miracle somebody escaped and survived the war, he will be liberated. His duty is to tell the world what's happened here in Sobibor. And I promised I will. It's a story about racist ideas getting hold and became murderers. The presentation is not an academical type lecture derived from studies and data. It's from my own experience. The issues of racism, hate, resistance are not dealt separately as such, but interwoven in my story. The interpretation I leave to the listener. I hope you will find an answer in my story to the still debated questions. How was it possible to kill so efficiently so many millions of people, of innocent people, and the conditions of our resistance to the Nazis? I try, as a witness to the Holocaust, to give you a very, very personal human dimension that hopefully will bring you closer to understand the reality of the Holocaust experiences. To fully understand the process, I will take you back to the time right after the First World War. Europe was in ruin. In that time, Germany was defeated. There was inflation, unemployment, capitalizing on the national disconcert. Adolf Hitler and his Nazi party gained power, the basis of his popularity was the exaltation of the German people as a master race. And of course, if there is a superior race, there must be an inferior race. Thus, racial anti-Semitism was adopted and became a state policy. The Nazi Party, in order to justify the First World War defeat and to rally new members, fabricated lies and scapegoats very easily found in the form of a defenseless minority, the Jews. It was an easy explanation and solution. In 1939, Germany attacked Poland, starting the Second World War. The Nazis did not limit themselves to the defeat of the enemy armies. The treatment of the civil population was inhuman, and this led to the destruction of whole segments of innocent people. The concept of a new political order based on race was taking shape. The populations were categorized, labeled, and dealt accordingly. If I say dealt accordingly, I mean the top of the German, full-blooded German, did get better food rations or clothing, and down the line, the Poles did get very little. There were distinctions between different classes of people. Race, color of the skin, religious denomination was decisive in your right to live or to die. If you imagine a pyramid, on top of the pyramid was the so-called Reichsdeutsch, a German born in Germany. Next were the Nordic nations, the Dutch, Danes, Norwegians. Almost at the bottom were the Slavs. Their destiny was, if Hitler would win the war, was to be slaves to the German nation. Still lower at the end were the Gypsies and especially the Jews. Their destiny was to be exterminated without pardon. Actually, the machinery of the destruction started at home in Germany. Before the Nazis were killing the Jews, they killed their own people. They killed the mentally ill, infirm, deformed, or otherwise not fitting the image of a super race. They disposed them in special installations in the so-called mercy killing program. Later, due to the outcry of the church, Cardinal Fulhaber, Bishop Wurm, Bishop Gallen, this murder was officially discontinued on August 24, 1941. But until that time, they killed about 80 to 100,000 Christian Germans. Of course, there were no such outcry when they killed millions of Jews. Genocide has been committed long before the Holocaust, and in fact is committed right now while I'm speaking here. In many parts of the world. The question is, what is so different about the Nazi murder of the Jews? Many millions of other people, non-Jews, were killed because of the war. Why should we single out the Jewish experience for study? What is different and unprecedented is the concept and the organization. For the first time, genocide of other people just because of their religion or race became a government policy supported by state law. Having been born in the wrong religion was a deadly sin that was to be avenged by death. January 20, 1942, at a secret meeting known now by historians as the Wannsee Conference. Wannsee is a suburb of Berlin, and the conference took hold in Wannsee. The officials, high Nazi officials, debated the final solution of the Jewish problem. The question was not to kill or not to kill the Jews, because the killing was already going on for 1941, when they took Jews from cities, from villages to the forest, and the machine gun executed them. This was too nervous for the soldiers, and most importantly, it was too slow. So this conference was looking for ways to speed up the operation. As a result of this conference, in addition to the ghettos, where Jews died because of hunger, concentration camps, and special mobile units which executed people, a special project was developed under the code name Operation Reinhardt. Zone, in the beginning of 1942, in rapid succession, 3 death camps were built: Belzec, Treblinka, and Sobibor. These camps were for Jews only and had nothing to do with nothing in common with concentration camps. They were pure death factories where all incoming transport without any selections was immediately directed to the gas chambers. Also, the genocide was possible because this was a case of special circumstances, the involvement of the state, careful planned deception, and above all, the blindness of other countries, including America, to the true nature of a racist state. We refused to believe that such things is possible. The speed of annihilation froze the Jews in a state of shock. This was the primary reason we fought back so late, when there were not many of us left alive. Oh, sorry. Now I will tell you my story. I came from a small town in eastern Poland, very small, about 4,000 people. This is the only town in Poland where up till now there's no church, because it was built by Jews only. When I'm going back with my memory to my childhood, I could say I had a happy childhood. I remember the Jewish holidays, very spiritual, and it's a town, very poor people mostly, very religious. And with our neighbors, we did live peaceful. There were some elements which I've seen wrote down on the fences done by from Jews and so on, so on. Regular anti-Semitic episodes, but very seldom. When the first Germans arrived, actually it wasn't so bad compared to the future activity of the Nazis. The German soldier, the regular soldier, Wehrmacht so-called, spoke German. German, of course, is very similar to Jewish. Actually, Jewish, so-called Yiddish language, is derived from the German language. So the Jews in this little town were able easily to communicate with the soldiers. And I remember that I went to a village not far from Izbica. I bought tobacco leaves in the home. I cut the tobacco leaves in small little pieces and made homemade cigarettes and went to the German soldiers offering them the cigarettes. They had their own cigarettes. Nevertheless, they took it from me, they gave me candies in exchange. But pretty soon, another German arrived, so-called SS, tall fellows, dark uniforms, death crew, and the emblem and the hat, and everything changed. The SS were hardcore Nazis, specially selected. In the beginning, they were the bodyguards for Hitler, but 92, there were already thousands of them. Izbica was declared a ghetto, Jewish ghetto. If I say ghetto here in America, some people think, oh, big deal. We have in America also a ghetto. We have Harlem and so on. No, a Jewish ghetto was actually an open sky jail. It was a jailhouse waiting to be, for the prisoners to be executed. This was the Jewish ghetto in Izbica. One day, this group of SS arrived and demanded 1,500 Jews to be evacuated to the east. They asked the Judenrat. Judenrat was the Jewish elders. Asked the Judenrat to deliver 1,500 Jews for a settlement, and who will go, the Jews which will go voluntarily to the train station will receive marmalade and bread. And pretty soon, whole groups, whole families went to the train station. If somebody would know that this was an order from the SS, would think, oh, people are leaving for a picnic, because there were no guards, only the promise of bread and marmalade. People would go to the train station, the Germans kept the promise, they did get bread, marmalade, and after they eat, they were told to go in the wagons, and the train left. A day would go by, a second, nobody knows where the train stopped. Up till now, if the Germans took some people for forced labor to dig an irrigation ditch or build a little airstrip for light planes, the next day we had letters, or we had some news, we are here or there, please send us clothing or food. But this time, nobody knows. Of course, people have seen it that the train moved eastward, but that's all. 3 weeks later, again, the SS arrived and again demanded 1,000 Jews for the settlement, because Jews from Germany will come here to Izbica. Now, this time, a lot of Jews did simple hide in double walls, in cellars, so the Germans would get in the town and break into houses, smash windows, doors, and took people away again to the train station, and the train left again. But this time, some people went after the train. The Jewish elders organized a group of Polish Christian people to go, if they will take the Jews from Izbica again, to go after that train, to see where the train stopped. And so, everything was repeated, the train was loaded and left. But this time, as I said, our neighbors on a horseback, bicycle, left after the train. And it didn't take long. The same day they returned and told us a strange story, unbelievable story. They told us that the train doesn't go far, about 70 kilometers. Goes and stops in a little train station in a little village, maybe two houses, that's all, called Sobibor. And there, according to the farmers living nearby, the train, if it's a big train, is split in a few pieces, 8 wagons section, and pushed in deep in the forest. In Sobibor was a village in the middle of the forest. Put in deeper, and deep in the forest is about a quarter mile surrounded by barbed wires. And according to the farmers, trains are coming day and night with no stop. A train goes in, after a few minutes comes empty, and according to them, this place should be overfilled with people. Simple overfill, physical overfill, but it seems there's no end. In the nighttime or in the daytime, you could see a fire coming from this camp. It was obvious that something terrible happened there. that this is a place where they are killing people. This was the news they did bring us. But what we do? We were in the ghetto, we can't go out. We had marks on our armbands, on our jackets with a Star of David. Everybody would recognize we are Jews, and if you go out from the ghetto, you're killed. So we were simple waiting. Now, German Jews arrived from Germany because Izbica was practically empty and took over the houses of the Jews who were taken away and killed. The German Jews wrote immediately letters home to Germany that yes, we are here in Izbica, the way the SS promised, the settlement to the east is difficult, but it's okay. We will wait here till the end of the war. This was a special deception because when the German Jews in Germany received such a letter, he didn't try to hide. When the SS told him, tomorrow you must go to the train station for a settlement to the east. When they get a letter from the east, that's everything's okay. After a few weeks, the German Jews were taken again to the death camp, replaced by Czech Jews. So it was like musical chairs. Now in the ghetto, going back to the ghetto. One evening, my mother said, Toivi, I haven't talked to you. So, I'm going to her, he said, Toivi, today you are leaving to Germany. I said, Ma, I'm sorry, today you're leaving to Hungary. I said, Ma, what do you mean Hungary? Where is Hungary? You see, for me, Izbica was the center of the world. Very primitive, I didn't know better. But I love it with my heart. And now my mother told me I should leave. Of course, I had other places where if you need to give an idea of where I come from, where if you need light, you go to the wall, turn something and there's light. In Izbica, I want light, you go to the store, buy a bottle of kerosene, and you have the kerosene lamps. Another store about the water. And there are places outside Izbica, if you need water, you go to the wall and turn again something. Even hot water will come out. At Izbica, we had about 6 wells, which you pull water with a stick, or how you call it. You know what I mean? And I remember winter time, people break their legs because where the well was already spilled the water, frozen, and people slipped. Some of us had money. He had a guy who was a poor guy who bringing him every day water and bucket. And I heard more unbelievable, which I didn't believe in it, that in other places there are toilets in the home, in the apartment where you live. I mean, a toilet in the home, it doesn't smell, how could it be? In Izbica, again, I have about half a dozen outhouses, and if you need to go, you just run. As a kid, that's happened a couple of times, I didn't make it in time. This was Izbica, but I loved it. And now I go to Hungary. Okay, I wasn't so stupid. I was aware what's happened in Hungary. In that time, in 1942, the Hungarian Jews did live relatively peaceful. The killing of the Hungarian Jews started in 1944 when they shipped them to Auschwitz. But 1942 was peaceful. So the dream of the Jews in the ghetto, how could I go across the border? Pretty soon a group of people, Christian people, Poles, offered their help. It was about 4 people. The head of this group was Gajos, and he promised for money to smuggle any Jew across the border. So that's what my mother meant. She paid Mr. Gajos he should include me in a group of Jews which were destined, which were scheduled to go out from the ghetto this night. So I told Ma, what do you know, the rumors? That Mr. Gajos and his helpers are taking a group of Jews to the forest next to the Ukrainian border, Hungarian border, walks with him in the forest for a while, and at a point he'll tell the Jews, listen, luckily you made it. We are in Hungary now. Sign the letter that you are free men in Hungary. And when the Jews signed the letter, they were killed and everything was taken away from them. So my mom said, Toivi, I don't know. Here we are sitting dukes. We will be killed, there's no question about that. We are waiting to die. The story with Gajos, with Hungary, maybe it's not true. Do whatever you decide. I was thinking for a minute and said, Ma, I'm going. So Ma took out a page of paper and said, Toivi, this is a birth certificate of a Polish boy who died a few days ago. The mayor of the city is your dad's friend, and he didn't cross him off from the book of living. But he took the birth certificate, so your dad should save me. Take this, learn your name, the new name, was Waldemar Ptasz, I remember, and 2 o'clock go to the neighbor's house, and over there the escapees which will leave for Hungary will meet there. I remember about 2 o'clock at night time, we eat canned food, sardines, for goodbye. I said goodbye to my parents and left to the neighbor's house, Mr. Schneider. And there, about 8 people in a girl, about maybe 17, 18 years old, preparing themselves to leave the city, the town. Pretty soon, Mr. Gajos arrived. He did give us plane tickets, which he bought beforehand, train tickets. And into the darkness of the night, we were able to find our way out from the ghetto to the train station. The train station in a small place like Izvica was only one railroad. Bushes all over, so we hid in the bush. The train arrived, we jumped to the last wagon, and we were our way to Hungary. But make it. What's happened? This girl, which I mentioned before, from the beginning from Izvica, was standing, looking outside from the window, pretending she is observing the scenery. You see, she was a beautiful girl, but she has very strong Semitic features. If I say Semitic features, I mean black curly hair, dark eyes. In Poland, of Slavs, blonde hair, mostly blue eyes. If somebody was looking for a Jewish person, she could be easily recognized. So she was standing in the window, pretending she's looking outside, and in fact, she was hiding her face. But now the conductor comes, bitte the Fahrkarte, please the ticket, and she turns around, and she saw the ticket, and the German conductor left. But it looked like some fellow traveler recognized her, because a few minutes later, 2 Ukrainian gendarmes arrived, asked the girl for the papers, and took her away. At this point, I made a terrible mistake. First of all, I was deadly scared. I was perspiring like somebody would pour water over me. And instead to act like the rest of them in that wagon, talk, oh, they will kill him, maybe the more Jews. I was sitting and I had a paper. I don't even know if I hold the paper right. Anyway, I had a paper pretending I'm reading, and I was scared and started to pray to God. It probably didn't stick out like a sore thumb, because At a point, the paper was ripped away from my face. Look up and there's a gendarme. Papers, show them my birth certificate. What's your name? Waldemar Ptaszek. Your mother's name? Stankiewicz. You're Jewish? No, I'm not Jewish. You are Jewish? No. You are Jew? No. Yes, no, yes, no. I didn't admit because I was aware that admitting is a death sentence for me. But in Poland, it was a way to recognize if somebody is a Jew. Simple, only Jews were circumcised. Because he wasn't sure, he said, come with me to the toilet. Come to the toilet, he looks down, looks up to me, looks down, and there's a confusion in his face. And later he looks up, and at the end of the wagon was another Ukrainian gendarme. He said, Ivan, ходи сюда. Ivan, come here. Now Ivan comes, Ivan's looking down, Ivan's looking up. What's happened, you see? Maybe they didn't know the anatomy. No, they didn't know the anatomy. What's happened is this. I would want to live. And quietly, not talking to anybody, I think I told my brother, I did try to correct the damage the rabbi did do to me. I call it damage, the circumcision. I've done it with a string, with some heavy stones. It didn't help. The only result was that everything was swollen. It wasn't recognizable. So, this is the reason they were surprised, but obviously I did manipulate this area, so I must be a Jew. And they arrested me. They arrested me, put me in jail. To go on everything, tell you everything, I would need to sit with you a whole night. I will just tell you this. I will skip about 6 months, exactly. I managed to escape from the jail. I pretended to be sick, it's a whole story. Anyway, I made it to the Ghetto street. And there, like any street, was hungry and wandered the streets. And I wrote to my mother a letter. Pretty soon, a German officer arrived in the ghetto in my room. And he was very well paid by my parents with a Bescheinigung, which is a paper that I'm allowed to travel in train from street to Izbica. And he said, Toivi, now we will go tonight to this train station and we will return to Izbica. And when it started to be dark, about 8 o'clock in the evening, it was April, so it started to be dark already. And to discover, together with him, he obviously had a swastika on this suit. We made it to the train station, and he went in to buy the tickets. A few minutes later, he comes out and said, Toivi, there are 2 ways to leave for Izbica. One way is to go with a regular train. There's a lot of Ukrainians, smugglers, and you could run into trouble. When you're in trouble, I must stay away, I can mingle, even if you have the permit. Or, in a few minutes from now, a German train from the Eastern Front is leaving to Lublin to Warsaw with wounded soldiers. And there's a few wagons for German only. So if you want, take out the Star of David, the armband, and come in. What do you think about this? I said, I'm going. So we went into this train, and we went into the compartment. There was a lady in a uniform, I remember. There was 2 assessmen, some from regular Wehrmacht soldiers. And actually, I didn't look too good. So the German officer explained that I'm just coming from the hospital and so on. And the lady did give me a piece of chocolate, and I said, "Dankeschön." And I remember the look which the officer Krause did look at me. I understood I shouldn't speak too much, but because I could betray myself. Anyway, the train arrived in Izbica, and I was united with my parents. And my father told me the story of what's happened when I left. When I left, it was a big, you see, there were two words which the Jews in the ghetto feared. It was something terrible. One was action. Action meant, if they say, "Oh, tomorrow will be action," or empty trucks are waiting, will be action. Action means the roundup of Jews. But you see, if you were hidden in a secure place and the SS did not discover you, and the train left, you was able to go out free in the street and nobody touched you. So the action was a terrible word, but the words was the expression Judenrein. Judenrein was like a death sentence. If a city was declared Judenrein, which meant no Jews are allowed to be after this roundup. Whole families without any guards, without any Nazis left for the train station. There was no way to hide, because if you have a hiding place, you hide. How long could you hide? Under the floors or in the attic? A day, 2, 3? You need water, you need to eat, and the worst of all, your neighbors will come in to take the tablecloth, to take a chair, because we left our houses simple, we didn't take anything. And they will discover you. It's the same thing like the Nazis will discover you. They will beat you on top of it. So my dad told me that there was an action, a roundup. Izbica was declared Judenrein, except there was a tannery in Izbica. The tannery was producing fine quality leather, and they left 200 workers in the tannery. The rest they took away to Sobibor and killed. My father, my mother were the 200 people working in the tannery. This was the situation when I arrived in Izbica and was with my parents. We were aware what will happen, but there were different talks in the tannery. Oh, they were talking. They took the children, they took the babies, they took the sick people, they took the old people. We are professionals. We are producing leather, which is very important for the war industry. They wouldn't touch us. Unfortunately, I remember the terrible day. 2 days ago was the anniversary when I arrived in Sobibor with my parents, actually the anniversary of the death of my whole family. But let's go back. I remember the awful day of April 28, when a rifle shot woke me up. I was sleeping in the attic. I looked into the window, looked down, and the whole tannery was surrounded by guards, soldiers. I jumped from the attic, running to a hiding place. There were a few. Nevertheless, I was apprehended by a Nazi and taken outside. Outside, I have seen about 50 people surrounded by guards already catched. And this soldier pushed me inside the group, and I realized I've done whatever I could, and this is the end. What could you do? You are in a group of people surrounded by guards. You must die. This soldier did want to light a cigarette. Could you a little bit of light is disturbing me?
It's too bright.
Okay, now. So, one of the soldiers did want to light a cigarette. So he did put in the match and the wind blew it out. Another match, the wind blew it out. So he took the collar of his jacket, put it up, and turned the face away from the wind and lighted a cigarette. And while I was standing near him, I told myself, now, and I slid out, simple. He looked this way and I went this way and mingled with the Polish Christian onlookers, not far, 5 feet far away, mingled with them, and nobody said a word. But I realized that I still am not safe. Looking around, I see a friend of mine, a schoolmate, Janek Knapczyk. I said, Janek, please, help me. Janek said, go to the barn. His farm and his barn was not far. And so he told me to go over there. Janek was the person, the boy who, you see, Jews in Poland, on Saturday they didn't go to school. But a Sunday, each one of us Jews had a friend, a Christian, who would bring him the homework to be ready for Monday. So Janek was the guy who would bring the homework. He slept at my place many times. I slept at his place. So I trusted him. He told me, go. I go to the barn, and on the gate is a big padlock, can go in. So I go around, maybe some panel is broken, and I could go in when a lady, a little bit, standing a little bit far away in a little hill, and she said, Toivi, run, Toivi, run. What's happened? Janek is coming. If Janek is coming, why should I run? He will come and open the padlock, let me in. I turn around, and there's Janek with a German. Take him, he is the Jew. And he betrayed me. And it was too late to escape because it was a hillside. When I have seen them coming up the hill, they were too close to me. And Janek, when the German told me to go down to the marketplace where all the Jews were assembled, he said goodbye to me. What did he say? He said, goodbye, Toivi. I will see you on a shelf in a soap store. Why in a shelf in a soap store? Because there were rumors that the Nazis are making soap from human bodies, which wasn't true, by the way. There were some experiments made in Gdańsk, but nothing commercial. So he meant he will see me as a piece of soap in a shelf. And I went down, and over there, my family was there, sitting in the marketplace with a hand like that. We talked to each other. What could you talk? You must die, that's all. 2 trucks arrived, covered with canvas. They told us to get in. We went in. In the front of the 2 trucks, I've seen a Jeep, soldier's machine gun. In the back of the 2 trucks, Jeep, machine gun. In afternoon, the truck started in the northern direction where Sobibor was. But you see, everything could be taken away from you. Everything. One thing will always be left. What will be left? Hope. Hope could be with a person to the last minute of your life. And because on the 70-kilometer stretch from Izbica to Sobibor were 2 off-ramps to concentration camp. So the talk was in this dark truck. No. They for sure they are taking us to a concentration camp. And everything is better than a death camp, extermination camp. So, no, they wouldn't kill us because we are specialists, the whole old story. We are passing the off-ramp to a concentration camp of Soba, and the truck didn't turn left, still straight. Oh, the truck, this is nothing. There's a bigger concentration camp, Travniki, and there's a factory there, and there's a tannery there. For sure, it will be Travniki. And I remember the truck passing the Ofram to Travniki went straight, and I still remember the march, hope is gone. And so, again another talk, let's fight back. Let's take some of them with us. This was the talk of young people. And I heard the talk of older people, like my father, family man. No, we will die this way or this way, we will die. Let's die as a family. And so the trucks come to a stop, Sobibor. They told us to go down from the trucks. This place was all secret, that the officers and soldiers which brought us there were told immediately to move out before they opened the gate. And they moved out. Now I remember standing in the front of a long fence, green fence. Why it was green, I find out later. It was actually a barbed wire fence interwoven with young pine branches so you can look through. In the right side was a big gate with a sign, SS under the commando, SS Special Command. In front of us another little gate for the train to come in. Now I think, what will I see when I go past the gate? I imagine that a place like Sobibor, where they kill people, where they burn people, must be like a hell. And I expect that when the gate will open, we will go in. I will see ditches and fires and people in rocks and beating, terrible things, like our proper hell should look like. The gates open, they told us to go in. We go in, we were 200 people. The gate closed behind us. I look around and can't believe my eyes. It did actually look like a nice small village. In the left side was the villa with a fancy name carved in wood, Schwalbenest, which meant swallow's nest. A little bit farther was another villa with a carved name, Gottes Heimat, which meant God's home. And I can't believe it, but I know they didn't bring me here to die. It was sacred when everything comes to life. You want to live, and I still remember it will be forever etched to my head. The two clouds in the sky, thinking this is the last time I see the clouds, and the whistle of the birds. And I know that this is the last place I will see in my life. Now, now I have a voice from a German officer. He is here. This is me. I had with him an interview a few years ago. This, in his SS uniform, yells, women and children on one side, men on the other side. I instinctively realized that I have a better chance with men. I was 50 and a half years old, so I could go either way. So I said to my mother goodbye. I said it in a way which is still painful for me. What did I say? See, a day earlier in the Ghetto, I was thirsty and told my Ma, could I have a drink of milk? And she said, take it. And probably I did drink too much because my mother said, Toivi, tomorrow's another day. She meant I should leave it. So now, when all our other people, knowing that they will die in minutes, kissed himself or hugged himself, I said to my Ma, you see, you told me tomorrow's another day, like a broken promise. And she said, that's all you could say? And I left. And I went to my dad. When everything was divided, the women and children were told to go straight. Later I found out the gas chambers were there. Now men are left. And the same Frenzel, his name was Frenzel, started to yell, who's a carpenter? Who's a mechanic? Who's a shoemaker? Who's a builder? Me, what do you do when you're 50 and a half? You simple, you go to school. So I don't have any trade, but I want to live and pray to God. he should help me. And wherever he went, my eyes went. And I still believe strongly that my willpower some way reach this assess. You see, my opinion, to understand each other, vocalization is not the only mean. I know lovers that sit for hours and understand each other without saying a word. I heard stories that a mother could feel if a child 1,000 miles away is sick or whatever. In any case, I strongly believe that my strong will reach this German, because when he was pacing back and forth in front of us, when our eyes met, and I was praying, God help me. And he looked at me and said, "Komm raus, du Kleiner, du willst my shoe putzen. Come out, you little one, you will be my shoeshine boy." And I stepped out and was included in a group of 40 people. Now, I mentioned before the difference between a concentration camp and an extermination camp. That there are no selections in extermination camp. In extermination camp, the terror was terrible. If you will see in a movie clip in a minute. The only but you see, there were 600 people working. After a few months, a lot of us committed suicide. A lot of us were killed by the Nazis. So once in a while, once in 3 or 4 months, they did the resupply for an incoming transport. So when our transport arrived, they did need some people. So this was only occasionally they took out. So I find myself with the people destined to work in Sobibor. Now, I will answer the people who said it's impossible to kill so many millions of people. I will tell you the mechanics of Sobibor. It's possible if people don't, simple as this, something they don't believe in it. Okay, now a transport of about 3,000 Jews arrived every Friday from Holland. The train stops, pushed it in the camp. We helped them unload the valises, the passengers, in good passenger wagons. And each valise cover had a nice nameplate, the address. So, and Frenzel, the same guy, told them to leave the luggage on the platform. You shouldn't be afraid, they have the addresses, they will get it back. And to go farther on to an alley. It was about maybe 100 meters farther was a little alley, a little yard, where another German, Hermann Michel, is here. It's too far, you should see something. But he had a speech. He was dressed in a white coat, pretending to be a doctor. He had a short speech. He kindly apologized for the difficult 3-day trip. But now, he said, they are here, they could see a beautiful place, and they will be here till the end of the war. But because of sanitary reasons, you must go and have a shower. Please undress yourself and go this way. We call this way, this alley, how do you call it? Himmelfahrtstraße, the road to heaven. They went straight to the gas chamber. And I was there in the gas chamber. I was very close. I had a terrible scream from the beginning till the end. But I strongly believe that when the people were in the gas chambers and went through the shower heads, gas did come instead of water. I'm sure they didn't realize what's happened to them. They probably were thinking it must be some kind of malfunction. And they were locked up, and 15 minutes later they were dead. The process was fast, unbelievable. When 3,000 people arrived in Sobibor, we could cover the Nazis with our hats, but it was impossible because it was a group of people going by. What will you tell them? 3 days earlier, they were in nice homes. You will tell them they're going to be killed? They wouldn't believe it. It so happened that one of us told a woman that they will be killed. And the woman did go straight to the German Wagner and told him. And Wagner said, no, yeah, what could we do? He's a little bit crazy, so what could we do? But when the transport was killed, this boy was tortured as a lesson to us. Don't talk to incoming transport. It was unbelievable. It was very fast. It didn't take long, and 3,000 people, all of them were killed. This was the mechanics. What did I do in Sobibor? They called me in Sobibor fireman. Why fireman? When the transport was killed, mountains of clothing were left. So most of us sorted were around a big main heap of clothing, pants to pants, jackets to jackets, shirts to shirts. And another group checked the pants, the coats for money, for whatever it was, put it in another heap. And the papers, documents and books were in another heap, which was later brought to my place. I have about a quarter size of this room, and I had a big oven, and I burned the documents. This was my only job, nothing else. Yes, now we will go to the resistance. When mine transport arrived, there were already the Warsaw Ghetto revolt was in progress. And we 40 people were attached to the steady working force in Sobibor. They were asking us, what's happening in the world? What's going on? Because they didn't know anything. And we told them that the Warsaw Ghetto fight the Nazis, that German tanks are burning, that Nazis were killed. And this was shocking for them, but this was also the first spark that Jews could do something, to fight back. And pretty soon, a Untergrund organization developed, trying to plan an escape. When the Eastern Front, the German front, crumbled, and the Russians were going forward, and the German army retreated, they also finished the ghettos. Until one day, I remember, Jews from the ghetto of Minsk arrived in Sobibor. Many of them were officers, soldiers. If the Germans discovered in a POW camp a soldier or officer that he's Jewish, he immediately sent him to the ghetto or to special camps for Jews. Anyway, in that time, a lot of Jews were from Minsk, and soldiers and officers were sent to Sobibor. A lot of work. So the Germans picked up another 70 people to work in the camp. And this Frenzel did look for young people, healthy people, and he picked up unwillingly former Russian Jewish officers. Now, you see, the leader of the organization, Leon Felser, recognized the possibilities. He, up till now, we have young people in the camp which never seen a rifle in the hand, and but now they have professional soldiers. He immediately contacted a Russian officer, Russian Jewish officer, Sasha Pechorsky. In a matter of 3 weeks, not even 3 weeks, we revolted. I can go into details, which I will make it short. We decided, we were aware that hand-to-hand combat we are losing. There were towers with machine guns, there were soldiers. We must do something to cut the head of the beast. It was a law. I mean, the soldiers, the SS, were forbidden to send anything home or to steal, they used the word, something from the Jewish stuff which were sorted. Nevertheless, they picked up nicer piece of clothing like leather coats, they were very fond of it, and they sent it home. So we were aware that they are what would I use? Greedy or whatever. Anyway, so there were many plans, but the final one, which was more, that give hope of succeeding, was accepted. The plan was that from 4 o'clock till 5, till the end of work, we should lure the officers to some places where nobody could see and kill them there. And later, if everything went smooth, we should, 5 o'clock when we finish the work, we go back to the main yard, and over there we make an open revolt. Because the success of the revolt was that simple should be, not many people should know. So in the organization, everybody involved in the organization was about 60 people, 10% only. And I think this was the success. I will show you now a clip, 18 minutes, of edited from the film Escape from Sobibor. It portrays me, an English actor, James Norman, plays me when I was about 15, 16 years old. And they called me by the name Toivi, of course. And later, after you see the film, you could ask me any questions, I'll be glad to answer. You will see the film how people without special training were able to free themselves by killing about 80% of the oppressors. Now, I would like to see the film. Good. Okay, somebody should off the light. Yes.
Over 300 prisoners escaped safely to the forest. Toivi, with 2 other boys, was hidden by a Polish farmer who eventually shot them for their money. With a bullet in his jaw, Toivi pretended to be dead but managed to stay alive to liberate it. Thomas Toivi Blatt, married and has 3 children. Today he lives in Santa Barbara, California. Yet he returns each year to Sobibor in remembrance of his family who died there. October the 14th, 1943, Sobibor, a Nazi death camp where over 250,000 Jews were killed. But in the revolt that day, over 300 of the 600 prisoners made it to freedom, something which had never happened before and would never happen again in World War II. Within days, SS Chief Himmler ordered the camp closed, dismantled, and planted with pine trees. In that forest now stands this monument to the dead. It is also a reminder of the valiant fighters of Sobibor, who were among those who began to make the idea and the vow never again a reality.
This is the story of Sobibor. Many mechanisms which were the driving force for those events are still present in the contemporary world. Let Sobibor be an everlasting warning for the future generations to prevent the rebirth of a inhuman world. People are building monuments to human achievements, beauty, arts. Sobibor stands as a monument to endless cruelty, but is also a monument for hope and human spirit. Thank you very much.